What's up, everybody? And the latest on the Declan Rice transfer. This is up to the minute news. Basically, last night around midnight, Arsenal put in a huge 100 million upfront with 5 million add-ons offer for Declan Rice. West Ham didn't accept it straight away. There are some negotiations around payment terms. They wanted to see what Man City would do, and today at about 11 o'clock, we have our answer. Man City have reportedly pulled out of the race. This is according to sources like the Mail and the Telegraph. They just don't do bidding wars. It's clear that this wasn't something they'd prepared a long time. It was a kind of spontaneous interest. They didn't exceed our offer when we did it. There has been no bidding war. I kind of said there wouldn't be, and I was right. So click like and subscribe if you haven't yet, just because I'm a guru. Transfer guru, that's what I want to be known as. But look, in all seriousness, Man City don't do bidding wars. They didn't do one for Cucurella, they didn't do one for Koulibaly, they didn't do one for Maguire, and they didn't do one for Sanchez when he left to go to Manchester United. It's not the way they operate. Obviously, they are meticulous with their transfers. They've done great transfer business, arguably the best in the world over the last 5 years, and they are happy to bide their time. And look, the truth here is that Declan Rice was worth 105 million to Arsenal, but it's hard to see how he could be to Man City. Through all of the talk West Ham have been putting up that, they want serious offers, this is a British transfer record. If you look at the top 25 transfers in history, like 20 of them are attacking players. This is an unheard of and unprecedented amount to pay for a player who doesn't get goal contributions, scored 2 goals last year. I might be doing him a disservice, it might be 4. But, still. Now, West Ham, as I said, haven't accepted the offer as at last night. I think they were hoping that Man City would come in and match it on better terms. It's known that the first Man City offer, although it was in the same ballpark as ours, was over 2 years. That's what West Ham is said to want right now. I'm quoting ex-West Ham United employee. I'm quoting the Express, and I'm quoting the Mail. Between those sources, the suggestion is that Arsenal have offered the repayment terms spread over either 3 to 4 or 5 years, but West Ham United are adamant they'd like it in 2 years. So there is a negotiation to be had there. It can still fall apart, it can still be rejected, but I think the pressure on West Ham now is their choices are: do they pull out of this in the hopes that another club like Manchester United, once they've settled their ownership, come in for Declan Rice? Or in the hopes that you can go back to Man City and get them to increase their offer somewhat? Or do they keep hold of Declan Rice, even though they've apparently made peace with the fact that they're not going to be, that he doesn't want to stay, and trigger the extension clause, which means he would have to stay till 2025, risk having an unhappy player, and risk him leaving at the end of that period with no money at all? We know that West Ham have rebuilding to do. There's no question in my mind that Declan Rice will make this kind of difference to Arsenal. And I just want to say, for those of you out there who are complaining and annoyed and angry at Arsenal's transfer business, this, I want to remind you, represents the most any British club has paid for a player. And therefore, it has to be taken seriously. Our intent is serious. We finished second. I think Declan Rice improves us to potentially catching up with Man City. I don't think he would have made the same difference to Man City, and it's not a position they need. They do have Rodri playing there. We have done our transfer business nice and early. There have been various reports, particularly in the Express, that Declan Rice is ready to force this issue if he's not allowed to leave. I think what we're talking about now is that West Ham could face the reality of having to settle for slightly less terms than they wanted. They asked initially for 80 million. We offered it. They turned it down. They then said they wanted 100 million. We've now offered it. When it comes to it, I can understand that having the 2 payments of roughly 50 million each makes a big difference to their fair play regulations and their spending power. But ultimately, it isn't like that we're going to welch on any. It isn't like we're going to miss any of our repayments. So, if we can get to an agreement for 3 and 4 years that suits both parties, Declan Rice should be holding up his shirt relatively soon. As we understand it, personal terms are agreed, and I'm absolutely delighted about it. I'm delighted about it even if it doesn't happen, just because, Arsenal are moving correctly in this one. We have made the offer. We have shown intent. We know how important he is to us. I've got a lot of buzz on the Facebook page of people saying he's not worth it. I can absolutely understand that. Technically, he does represent an overspend, but there's a couple of things I want you to bear in mind. One, the value of a player is only ever determined by what somebody is prepared to pay for it. The Kroenke Sports Entertainment Group, Arsenal board, Arteta, everybody at Arsenal thinks that this is worth doing. So it must, by definition, be a good value. And second of all, the way that football's going. I mean, the idea of a midfielder going for 100 million, it's a defensive midfielder is a position that is very sought after at the moment. All the good clubs have one, and you desperately need one in order to be up there. We had Thomas Partey last season. He was good. I think Declan Rice is an upgrade. You may or may not agree with me. I want to hear all about it in the comments. But for now, very big news is that Arsenal are the only team to have a bid out at the moment for Declan Rice, and Man City are not going to be making a further bid. I will, of course, update you if anything else changes, so keep it locked here to the Gooner channel for all your regular updates. Lots of love. Be lucky!